we're going to be doing something else that's going to be very, very good. We're going to be selling a gold card. You have a green card. This is a gold card. We're going to be putting a price on that card of about $5 million, and that's going to give you green card privileges plus. It's going to be a route to citizenship, and wealthy people will be coming into our country by buying this card. They'll be wealthy, and they'll be successful, and they'll be spending a lot of money and paying a lot of taxes and employing a lot of people. And we think it's going to be extremely successful. Never been done before, anything like this, but it's something that we're going to be putting out over the next, would you say 2 weeks, Howard? Do you want to say a couple of words about it?
Sure.
Mr. President, are there
Wait a
any
minute.
requirements for that
Hang on a
gold
sec.
card? Do you have to invest a certain amount of money in this country in order to qualify for that gold card?
Yeah, exactly.
So the EB-5 program was really, you lend some money, but it was full of nonsense, make-believe, and fraud, and it was a way to get a green card that was low priced. So the president said, rather than having this sort of ridiculous EB-5 program, we're going to end the EB-5 program. We're going to replace it with the Trump Gold Card, which is really a green card gold. So they'll be able to pay $5 million to the U.S. government. They'll have to go through vetting, of course. We're going to make sure they're wonderful, world-class global citizens. They can come to America. The president can give them a green card, and they can invest in America, and we can use that money to reduce our deficit. Why do we give out lotteries of green cards? Why do we give out EB-5 for green cards? The President of the United States understands that the right answer is, why don't we eliminate the deficit of the United States of America instead?
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about this heated exchange on The View between Alyssa Farah Griffin and Sunny Hostin. Now, Sunny Hostin is going to be boo-hoo, whining, and crying racism about President Trump's proposal to have a so-called gold card for foreign investors, wealthy people who want to come to the United States and to help create jobs, right? For the small fee of $5 million, you can get green card privileges, and also on top of that, have a more streamlined process towards American citizenship. Now, me personally, I haven't had much time to really evaluate the idea, the pros and cons, but what I do know is that it is going to replace an existing program that we already have that is supposed to do that. It is supposed to have investors come into the United States who are promising to create jobs for the American people, and they can get green card privileges and things like that. So, again, it's just a replacement of a program that we already have. It just seems kind of more straightforward, where it's like, you know what? If you just pay the $5 million, then hey, you know, these are the benefits. So I haven't had time to really evaluate the pros and cons, but what I do know is that the program is not racist. But apparently that is the takeaway that Sunny Hostin got from this proposal, and Alyssa Farah Griffin is going to fact check Sunny Hostin, boohoo, whining, crying racism, which is going to result in Sunny Hostin being triggered. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
In terms of the immigration thing, I think this is not that different from what happens in Europe. You know, you can have this sort of golden visa through real estate in places like Portugal and Spain and Greece.
A lot of the
Caribbean. So, this would be the most expensive golden visa. But I think what's fascinating to me is that, yes, he ran on immigration, and he ran really on the southern border, because we know we also border Canada, and that's actually the largest border, but they're not really going into Canada and looking for those Canadian people that are kind of jumping back and forth.
This is a misnomer. It's not Canadians that come across the northern border. The northern border crisis. No, it's people coming from other parts of the world, India, Mexico. But there's not a bunch of Canadians flocking. There's probably more Americans going to Canada right now.
That's not true, because I spoke to Governor Whitmer about it. But
that was a misunderstanding.
Can I just finish what I was saying, so that I don't
6,000 Canadians
so that I don't lose my thought? The point is, he was all about immigration from the southern border, and those immigrants or those migrants look a certain way. So it seems to me this was never really just about immigration. It was about a certain type of immigrant. And so now we have these
Can I just clarify, though?
Can I finish talking?
Yes.
Thank you. So it's okay for Russian oligarchs to come over. It's okay for people with money to come over, but it's not okay to provide a path to citizenship for people that have been here, like the DACA recipients, for other people that look a different way.
Wow. Wow. Absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Sunny Hostin here is trying to do the same thing that she always does. I think there can be criticisms of the proposal, right? Like valid criticisms. But if the first thing that you do is that you cry racism, then it just makes your criticisms not valid, right? I mean, I'm just saying, okay, you're just not a serious person. But again, she can't evaluate any type of policy or anything like that without looking at it through the lenses of race. So, hey, this is par for the course. But in this situation, as Alyssa Farah Griffin is trying to point out here, right, rightfully, that, you know, hey, this is not necessarily about race, okay? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, when you look at the Canadian border, President Trump actually is very concerned about the Canadian border, okay? And it's not because you have Canadians crossing the border. No, it's actually because you have people coming into the country through the Canadian border who are not from Canada, who are from other countries. This idea that President Trump is not paying attention to the northern border, or that's not something that he's focused on because Canada is a white country, is just so ridiculous for so many reasons. One being that we are about to get into a trade war with Canada over their border, okay, and them securing their border, stopping people from coming to the United States of America.
Mr. President, can you clarify the Canada-Mexico tariffs? You had put that 30-day pause, but you just referred to April.
25%.
25%. When does it go into effect?
April 2nd.
April 2nd for Canada-Mexico.
Correct. And for everything.
Well, we have the fentanyl-related is a pause. If they can prove to the president they've done an excellent job, that's what they first do in 30 days.
Have you guys seen any
But then
change?
the overall is April 2nd. So the big transaction is April 2nd, but the fentanyl-related things, they're working hard on the border. At the end of that 30 days, they have to prove to the president that they've satisfied him to that regard. If they have,
It's gonna be
then
hard
he'll
to
give them a pause, or he won't. But
It's going
that's
to be
up
hard
to
to
him. We'll see.
satisfy. We lose 300,000 people a year to fentanyl. Not 100, not 95, not 60 like you read. You know, you've been reading it for years. It's in through China and through Mexico and through Canada. A lot of it comes through Canada.
Also on top of that, just because you are rich, right, doesn't mean white. Rich does not mean white, okay? Because, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of rich people in India. There's a lot of rich people in China. There's a lot of rich people in the Middle East. In Africa, I mean, there are rich people across the globe, okay? So, again, there's nothing about this that has anything to do with race at all. And what Sunny is also failing to acknowledge is that, yes, there is a difference between letting vetted, wealthy individuals into the United States of America for the purposes of, one, again, paying down the debt, because President Trump says the $5 million is going to be used to pay down the debt, right? But that, okay, and also on top of that, they're going to be investing in the United States of America, right? So they're going to come here and they're going to spend money, they're going to invest, they're going to actually help this country, okay? Versus having a southern border that is wide open, where you just allow anybody into the country, unvetted, a lot of them criminals, gang members, and they become agents of chaos to the American people and to society, right? I think there's a huge difference between those two things, right? So, you know, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I know she brought up DACA, okay, and, you know, the people who've been here since childhood and stuff like that, but they came into the country illegally, right? So they're not entitled to citizenship just because they've been here for a long time, okay? Again, versus somebody that's vetted and they came into the country legally, okay? Again, I know Democrats don't believe in southern borders, right? I know they don't believe illegal immigration is a crime, but it is a crime, right? And we should not be rewarding crime. Now, again, if they want to do it the right way, okay, and come in through the legal process like everybody else comes in, hey, that's a conversation to be had. But again, you're not entitled to any type of citizenship just because you've been here for a long time. And that's why I feel like bringing up DACA is totally irrelevant, right? I mean, she's, again, trying to use it to call out, I guess, hypocrisy, right? And also trying to say it's racist, right? When at the end of the day, it's a totally separate conversation than talking about legal immigrants, right? People who are coming into the country legally, okay? And how to facilitate that process. Those are two different things.
So just to clarify, because there is a border crisis on the northern border, and it doesn't get nearly as much attention as the southern. The numbers aren't as high. It is not Canadians crossing from Canada into the United States.
Who is it?
It is Mexico and India are the two largest places that people are coming, because they're seeing that it's actually easier than going through the cartels and going through a more secure southern border. So if they have the resources, that's what the northern immigration is. It has nothing to do with Canadians.
Yeah, so basically in a nutshell, Sunny Hostin crying racism over what she claims is a lack of attention for the northern border due to the fact that white people are coming into the country is silly, right? It's silly and it's not grounded in reality because, first and foremost, again, there is focus on the northern border, right? And also, top of that, the people that are coming to the country from Canada, again, aren't white Canadians. They're actually from other places around the world. So to say that President Trump doesn't care about the northern border because white people are coming into the country, again, there's just nothing like backing that up, like factually. She's just saying it. She's just saying it because ultimately at the end of the day, these people, they can't criticize any policy without boo-hoo and crying racism, right? I guarantee you ask any of these people, hey, tell me what you don't like about this policy without claiming racism. They can't do it, right? They can't do it. It's always going to have to be, well, it's racist. It's racist and I don't like it, right? That's essentially kind of what we just saw there, even though, again, there is no real evidence of any racism going on here. And what I find to be the most fascinating and comical part of this boo whining crying racism over President Trump's immigration policies is the fact that Democrats admit out loud that the real reason why they love illegal immigration has nothing to do with them loving all these different cultures and stuff like that. No. What they're looking for is slave labor, right? They like the illegal immigrants that come over here and pick their cotton, right? Pick their food, okay? This is what Democrats and liberals are actually concerned about, and they know this. And it's funny because they are admitting this out loud, that, hey, the history of immigration to this country, hey, goes back to slavery and slave labor, which is what we want to keep. We want to keep that really badly.
We can't let them continue their lies and their distractions. We can't let them deport the millions of families across this country who have been doing the work that keeps our economy going every day. We can't let them scapegoat and criminalize immigrants who contribute, who are our neighbors, our friends, our churchgoers, our community around us that we deeply love. Immigrants are us. Immigrants are us, and we all deserve respect and dignity. If you look at the food that's on your table, think about who picked it. If you look at your homes, think about who built them. If you look at your vulnerable elders and your kids, think about who's taking care of them.
That the history of the country is more about getting workers here rather than refugees. If you know your history, during World War II, there were Jews who were escaping the Holocaust, and they were sent back. They were not allowed to come here. So refugees is not the number one. Number one is to get people to pick your vegetables and things like that. That's what Italian Americans came here to work. Chinese Americans came here to fix the railroads, to build the railroads.
The enslaved were brought here to work and to build. The enslaved were brought here to work to build it for free. And not to mention the Black Americans who came here in the first place were slaves. So let's not be so sanguine about these refugees, because mostly we want workers. Well,
Yeah, so I want you guys to understand, the same people who are boohoo whining crying racism over immigration policies want an immigration policy for cheap labor, right? They're telling you straight up, we want all of these so-called black and brown people to come into the country, not because we love their culture, but because they can pick out crops, right? Again, they just want modern day slavery, right? This is what they want. This is quite literally what they're advocating for. As if, immigrants can't do any job outside of pick cotton and babysit. I don't know, right? To me, it sounds like the racists here might be the Cackling on the View. I'm just saying. The Democrat Party hasn't changed. They have not changed since slavery. They haven't changed. They continue to show us that they are the same party that they were back then, right? They just have, a different type of branding, okay? But they're the same. When it comes to whether or not President Trump is going back on his anti-immigration stances, I don't think there's any real hypocrisy there either, because Trump was never anti-all immigration, right? He was never anti-all immigration. He's never been that way, right? He's been very anti-illegal immigration, but when it comes to legal immigration, that's a different conversation, right? A totally different conversation. Now, again, the media likes to spin President Trump and his stances as anti-all immigration, when it's just simply not true, okay? I mean, I know Democrats think that we should take all the world's people, okay? But the United States should not be a toilet bowl for the rest of the world, right? And if we're going to be letting people into the country, if we're going to have legal immigration, then at the very least, we should be taking in people who are going to contribute positively to the country. And again, it should be in a way that's extremely vetted and controlled, okay? That's what we should have if we're going to have legal immigration. What we can't have is unfettered illegal immigration, which happened in the Biden-Harris administration. We let everybody into this country that the rest of the world don't want, right? That's exactly what Democrats did. And again, we are now experiencing the consequences of that. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.